at this point, now being in Slab City, we talked to some of the other people, and it seemed there's a huge differentiation between different camps of kind of the ethics and mores and their vision. The people we were with seemed pretty friendly and had some forward-thinking ideas.
You're taping all this, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm divulging a few things here that
Okay.
I usually do it.
No, I
If
understand.
you want me to get into any more depth there, I don't want it spilled everywhere.
I understand.
I'm telling it to you guys who have faulty memories.
Okay. No, I understand.
They know everything I do
Mhm.
because they know everything we all do. Basically.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
you should always tell when you do that.
Right.
I see your hand up there. But
I-
I thought
I-
you just all that. You
I
should
just-
always tell somebody you're going to be taping.
No, I understand, sir. I thought I made it clear we're here
no,
to
you
film
did,
a documentary.
You did. It's
So
my fault.
yeah,
you
no.
did tell me that. Good. Does your prospects look good for this job? Okay, good. What's the starting pay? That's not enough to live on in San Diego. After 3 years of experience, what will you move to? You'll have to make $180,000 a year. That's why you got such a good sense of humor.
Exactly.
You've got to balance it out. You could be a comedian. You know, you could. You have the need for recognition that Canadians do. You know that?
I get that.
Yeah, you get up there but your jokes are going to have to get a little better than
Yeah.
what you cracked here. I mean, you're not going to hold
I'm
an
trying my
audience.
hardest.
I know,
Yeah.
but you got the personality for it. You know that? That's
me.
the best way. You
Yeah.
buy it like that. You got a good deal at the auction.
Mhm.
What did you pay for? Come out so that you
Yeah.
get compensated for. Waste a lot of energy getting in. Buy your own. I bought all of my real estate except for one myself.
Got
Did I
him.
get
Step
him?
on that. Yes,
You
sir.
got him.
Step on him.
Fucking
Yeah,
clean
thank
kill.
you.
Yeah.
Figure out a joke for that.
All right.
The day we got the boomer, you can make some jokes about boomers. So there's lots of opportunity out there. It's just a matter of doing it, putting some capital together. You had $4,000 to do the electrical, didn't you? Put your capital together, be a good saver. Because when an opportunity comes, you want to have the money to be able to take advantage of it. And what are you doing? And what's the job prospects for your field? Because you're going to be competing with all the Indians that are working at 1/8 of what you're going to need to live on here. Programmers are so cheap in the world. I've written 2 books, and I hired 16 people, mostly in the Philippines, because they speak such good English. And we wrote a book in seven months. Did a it was a book of physics, and we made from the time I conceived it to the time it was published and put on Amazon was 7 months, and it's a pretty in-depth book. But I hired PhDs, I hired chemists, I hired people with master's degree, $3.28 an hour.
Nice.
That's, and anything that can be done over the computer, you can't compete with that with somebody from India or the Philippines there.
I mean, plenty of programmers in California at least make above like $150K a year.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a demand for even American programmers who demand higher pay.
Yes, yes, but would you say since 1990, the amount of the amount of employers that have employed people from overseas, because call it 1990 is when it really started to take off, where you could do it, where computers were and the internet was active enough to be able to start doing that. 1990 probably, but the world's becoming just one big labor pool. You just there, and there's so many people that have a good command of English. But I'm not discouraging you for doing that, but there's a thing called Eureka, and it's a program that will tell you what the field, everything from acupuncturist to zoologist, and they tell you the outlook. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I mean, I understand where you're going.
Yeah, you can, it should be at just about every college, and you go in there and just type in what field you're of study, and they're going to tell you what the demand is going to be in 4 years when you get out with a degree. And how many people are in it right now, because if there's an overabundance of people in a particular area of IT, and you come out and all of a sudden you're competing with 10 other people for every single job, that's not a good thing to get into.
So what do you think are the most promising fields with the least competition?
I think you ought to be an entrepreneur.
Or a funeral director.
What's that?
Funeral director.
That's not going out of business anytime soon.
No, it's not.
Well, let's rethink that for a minute, because I am now taking a substance that has shown to reverse aging. And when I get down to 20 years old, I'm going to stop taking it. But now this is, can you remember a name?
We'll have it in our
Will you have it?
documents
look it
right
up.
here.
Versus
Yeah.
aging.
Now,
The blood of young people.
he's probably one of the leading researchers at
It's
Harvard.
School Bob.
At Harvard.
Oh, is this David
Longevity.
Sinclair?
David Sinclair,
yeah.
you got it. Good for you. So you already have it. Look up his research. He's got mice that, mice live 2.5 years. But he's got the equivalent of 70-year-old mice that are outrunning 20-year-old mice.
Was this a like NAD thing?
It's NAD, but it's NMN is the substance I've been taking for 2 months. And look how much younger I look since you saw me last. That's a joke.
How do you feel?
Is that
You
Nick?
saw me. I'm up that
It's
ladder.
like nicotinamide?
Yeah,
I'm
nicotinamide.
75 years old, you guys. How many 75 years old that still pole vault? I'm a pole vaulter, yeah. Right now I've hurt my knee, but I'm not doing that. But we're talking about mortality. The mass majority of people are still going to die, but 2 to 5 or 10% are going to get on that longevity wagon, because there's some people that say, I don't want to live that long anyway. But I'm having a hell of a good time. My goodness, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. The more I realize how big the universe is to do that.
I think the big thing is you want to have a large health span and not necessarily a large lifespan. So if you live 100 years, but 50 of them are in grueling pain, that's not that good. Whereas if you can live 70 years and you're
That's
spry
what
the
shotguns
whole
are
time.
for.
Hunter Thompson.
Huh?
The Hunter Thompson method.
Mishima?
Yeah, Mishima.
No, tell me about it.
Yukio Mishima.
Yukio Mishima. He was a Japanese author
Yeah,
who staged a coup to reinstate the Japanese emperor
yeah.
and then committed seppuku. And his point was like, he didn't want to have a long, drawn-out life
Yeah.
where he just kind of slowly degrades. He just
Yeah.
wanted to go out in a blaze of glory and be remembered beautiful forever.
Sure. That's fine.
I think it's
The
more
quality-
dramatic.
I took,
That's fine.
yeah. What was the joke?
You were the joke. You wrote itself.
Was it complimentary or is it something I would feel degraded with?
Well, you were Mishima worked his whole life to be in service to his glorification of Japanese culture, and he did his final act that's very solemn and serious, and then you said that's fine. So it's kind of like you're belittling his. That's where the humor comes
No,
from.
I wasn't belittling the guy.
I know, but that's how it sounded,
No,
so
I
it made
thought-
it funny.
No, I thought, no, that's a good way. I just thought about doing a swan dive into a live volcano. Make sure CNN and NBC is all there. Make it let it go viral.
So, Doctor, how long have you been here in Slab City?
Going on 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
And we asked another camp the longest they knew someone had maintained a presence in Slab City. I think they said 12 years.
Carl right over there has been here for 33 years.
33 years.
Did you know Mr. Knight?
I know. Oh, no, Leonard Knight?
Yeah.
I didn't meet him. He passed away. But I used to come here back in the 1950s. We used to take the fishing boat through here and go down to San Felipe, Mexico.
Okay. That's when you first found Slab City?
This is when I first came. You found the Salton Sea. I didn't know Slab City was here
Okay.
at that time, but I drove right by it right here through mine.
Did you grow up in California?
I did. I did.
Okay. And what part of California?
Downey, if you know where Downey is.
Okay, Downey.
Well, it's Long Beach or
Yes.
Venice.
Yeah.
I was southeast of Venice. Call it 20 miles, 30 miles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you do? I know you said you had a lot of properties. What was your kind of entryway into the workforce and everything? When you were kind of our age,
Yeah.
what was your first
You know
step
what I
into the
did?
world?
First of all, 9 months out of high school, I was working for Aerocraft, and we were doing parts for the aerospace program, the Apollo, that landed on the moon in 1969. And they, because I wasn't married, didn't have children, they drafted me into the Vietnam conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But they sent me to Fort Bliss, Texas, in El Paso, and I went through basic training there, and I came out with the highest score, and they gave me a trophy, and the commanding general said, we don't want to lose our best young men to there, because a lot of body bags were coming back from Vietnam at that time. So he kept me on the post, so I immediately enrolled in the university at UTEP and started taking classes, and I had a big black sergeant from Alabama. He was a great guy, Sergeant Johnson, and he says, "Private Brown," that was me, he said, "I admire any man trying to better himself." And I said, "Thank you, Sarge." And he says, "From now on, you just come in on Friday night and Saturday night, and you're off the rest of the week, and you go get yourself an education." And so I was a chief dispatcher with 2,000 vehicles under my command, from 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning, 2 days a week, and the rest of the time I was off, and they just kept giving me rank and rank and rank.
What branch were you in?
Army.
Army.
They drafted me into the Army, yeah.
And what rank did you eventually attain?
E5.
E5?
Which was almost unheard of, there, to get up that fast.
Now, did your parents, either of them, have any college or professional education?
My father had a multi-million-dollar business, air conditioner refrigeration business, that he wanted me to take over, but I wasn't interested in that.
Right.
After that, I went to San Francisco for a while, and then I went on to India.
Okay.
And then from India, I studied with Baba Hari Das there for 2 years. Ram Das and I met there, and Ninkroli Baba. I went up and saw Ninkroli. I went to Dharamsala, where the Dalai Lama is, and that put me on my, that helped me along. At 17, I started doing yoga and meditation, and when I went to India, that put me on a spiritual path there. But when I came back there, I brought these Kurdish shirts that I had found. They're little lightweight shirts that have hand embroidery on it, and I bought about 300 of them. I took them to Berkeley, flew back here to Berkeley, started up a business, and built that business into where I made enough money to retire at 22 years old.
Wow.
That's why I've been an entrepreneur, because if you go to work for somebody as a wage, at $20 an hour, whatever, that's what you're going to get paid. If you find something where, like in my case, these shirts, I had paid 17 cents a piece for them in India, but when I got to Berkeley, I sold them $2.75 a piece, or 2 for $5, or 3 for $7, and I was selling 3 at a time, like that. And I was putting away, this goes back 1972, which I was putting away $300 to $700 a day, more on Fridays than any other day. And that was a lot of money. That was a lot, and that's what you can do if you find something that you can make, a good resale amount of. And